Wordplayhaan, how you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. How you feeling?
I'm doing good. Thank you for doing this.
Nah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for this hat, man.
Hey, man. You just gotta look out for your people, man.
100%. When I first started looking at your Instagram, listening to your music, this is like the first thing I noticed, these hats. I was like, I need one of those. do you design all the Down4Us stuff yourself?
Yes, but I do have people that like make them for me, like make the mock-ups and all that. Mm-hmm. So I give them the idea and they just bring it back to life for me. So it's a team effort.
Oh, okay. So you kind of think of the design, but then somebody else does the logistics and gets that out there for you.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Because you guys have a lot of different stuff, right? Like that hoodie you're wearing. That hoodie's really sick.
Yeah, actually, my engineer helped me design this, so major shout out to him.
Oh, word. And you guys kind of act as just like a clothing brand, right?
Yeah, so pretty much I always did music, but, you know, I really got into the clothing brand after I had my son, you know, so I wanted to make something, you know, like a legacy to leave.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Where's the name come from?
So Down4Us, it really came from, you know, just me hanging with my friends. You know, it was more of a lifestyle. Like, we have each other's back. Like, you got my back, I got your back. That's, you know, the Down4Us way. Support those who support you. And we did it in Vegas. You know, we were out bullshitting, partying, and then, you know, just had a heart-to-heart with my friends. And, you know, somebody said, you know, we got to be down for us. And we just ran with it.
I like that too, because there's it's not just like a random name. Like, there's some meaning behind it.
Exactly.
I think it gives it more of a draw. I feel like a clothing brand is something where it'd be really easy to just give it some random pointless name that doesn't mean anything.
And you see a lot of that. Like, a lot of these people
sure.
have brands that just doesn't have any type of meaning behind it. Like, when I think of Down4Us, I thought about like FUBU, you know, growing up, like, for us, by us, you know, down for us, you know, that was kind of the range we were going with. And a lot of people don't have that creativity when it comes to making clothing. Like, they just want to do it for the money, but it's not for the passion. For me, it's more of the passion over the money. That's why I'm still, you know, developing every year.
That makes sense. And I mean, when you come and you assess something from a standpoint of that kind of starts and ends with the passion and your love for it, it comes from a place that's genuine, you know? So when one of these days when Down4Us does become so big that you're living off and you're doing it full time, it's going to be the type of thing where you don't have to worry about your morals being in the right spot because they've always been in the right spot.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. How long you been recording here at Breeze Studios?
I've been here about 2 years now.
Okay. How'd you originally meet Breathe and start recording here?
To be honest, I was introduced to him through a mutual friend. He told me to come check out the studio one day. And I just came down here, and, you know, I liked the quality that they were putting out. And, you know, I just ended up booking a session one day, and then the rest was history.
Is there a lot of stuff, when you're looking for, like, a studio and you say, like, the quality that this studio was putting out, is there, like, a specific thing you're looking for? Are you looking, like, for a sound when it comes to a studio? Because that's something I would know nothing about.
Yeah, so for me, it's not more about the sound, it's about the effort. Like, you know, you have a lot of engineers that just push a button and record you. Like, you don't have those type of people that really take the time and the effort to, like, correct you if you're wrong, or tell you, like, oh, it sound better like this way, or even try to, you know, show you something different. Me going to different studios, I've always dealt with people that just press the button and say, oh yeah, that sounds good, you know. But dealing with the two engineers here, it's a little bit different for me, because they literally will make me redo something if it doesn't sound right.
Did you record at a lot of other places before you recorded here?
I did. Definitely did. We don't got to talk about those studios.
Yeah.
But I definitely recorded in a few.
But you say you were just kind of looking for the shoe that fit.
To be honest, no, I just really came down here just to check out the studio. Like, I was cool at the other studio I was at, but then once I came here, wasn't no point for me to leave after that.
That makes sense. I mean, once you find something that works, why change it up?
Exactly.
So how far away do you live from here?
So I used to originally live in the San Pablo area. Now I live in Bay Point.
Okay, so you got a little bit of a commute, but nothing too bad.
Nah.
And then you're originally from the Bay, right?
I'm originally from Oakland, California, but I grew up in San Pablo. So I was born out there in Oakland, but my family, as soon as I was born, it took me and all of my siblings. They said, oh, no, it's time to get the fuck up out of here now. And they raised us out there.
What part of Oakland?
East Oakland.
Okay, so from East Oakland to San Pablo. Okay. And then how long after that do you eventually move out to Bay Point where you are now?
Honestly, man, I just moved to Bay Point about 6 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you like it out there?
It's fucking hot. It's very fucking hot. The heat out there, I hate it. but I love it.
Do you think like growing up in the Bay and living in so many different parts of the Bay just from when you were a kid and now, do you think that's affected your music in a lot of ways? Because you seem like an artist where, I mean, even with your clothing brand, it's all branded Down4Us Bay Area. Mm-hmm. Like all your sound and everything that originates from sounds very, very just reminiscent of old Bay Area hip hop, new Bay Area hip hop. It's just a collective morph of all these sounds, I find. Do you think like growing up in the Bay has influenced your music a lot?
Definitely. For me personally, I'm influenced by a lot from the Bay Area because I've been out here my whole life. I've been to pretty much every hood in the Bay Area. I've been to hoods in Antioch, Richmond, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose. I've been through all these places, so I've seen a lot. I got my game a lot from a lot of the artists in the Bay Area. So I'm definitely influenced by Bay Area culture for sure. Like, I can't fake that.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And it's also just, it's something that even if you wanted to fake, you almost can't, I find. It's such like a specific, I mean, I'm somebody who's grown up in the Bay their whole life. I've lived pretty much in the East Bay. Like, I grew up in Concord, and I lived in Clayton, and then I was back to Concord, back to Clayton, and then back to Concord. So just like all in the East Bay pretty much.
Exactly.
But it's something that it's a very weird, like, specific subculture. It's hard to like fake like you're from the Bay Area if you aren't, because it's such a specific thing.
Nah, and then really for me too, it's like you can tell where shit's not being faked. You feel me? Like, I'm not one of those people that try to prove myself to people. Like, I don't have to. Like, my background and just how I move speaks for itself. So, I'm not gonna say like I'm untouchable and shit, but like, people don't tend to fuck with me or my people because we just be in our own lane. We ain't out here trying to do too much, none of that other weirdo shit that a lot of these people out here do. So we just stick to ourselves.
So do you tend to stick with the same, like, a very consistent group of people, or you're not really reaching out to people on a musical level like that?
Oh yeah, I definitely reach out to people on a musical level all the time because that's how I get a lot of my creative from. Also too, like, I feel like a lot of people just want to make music with a certain group of people, and your shit end up always sounding the same. So it's like there's no really room to grow when you're working around the same people.
That's very true, especially when those people aren't pushing you. Like, I find that a lot of people get stuck in groups of people, and be it a collective or be it just people you're around, that they almost yes man you. Like, there's one artist in that circle that's significantly bigger, has made more progress than the rest of them, and then it's just everybody else telling that person they're dope. But the problem with that is that doesn't breed any progress.
It doesn't, and I'm a victim of that personally because I was dealing with the collective of people in a group to where they're not putting out any real music or really content, but they're sitting here trying to jump on everything that I'm doing. So once I started to make my own decisions and say, I gotta grow because I'm not growing with y'all, and I started making different type of music, people started to resent me for that.
So on a genre level, you said, so you're making like different kinds of music, and then people want you to be doing what they're doing more? Pretty
much, yeah. Different genre music, making music with different people. Yeah. Like, a lot of that came from resentment too. It's just some shit that we can't change, but shit, it just sucks that it played out that way. I dealing with the group and people. We have meetings, shit don't change, and literally we had a meeting here, and somebody pretty much told me like everybody's not gonna be here next year, and shit, it happened.
Yeah,
everybody wasn't here next year.
And I mean, the thing that's tough about that too is it's always a hard mix between growing with other people and growing by yourself. Definitely. Like, it's really easy for you to make progress as an artist and kind of start to overshadow, or not necessarily overshadow, but just do different things than the people you were once around, and it's really, really easy for them, because they're not as up as you, to just call you fake or to call you, say you're not staying true to your roots or whatever. But in reality, there's a correct way to grow and not leave your people behind. It's not leaving your people behind if you're just growing.
Exactly.
And it's like it's a very easy like critique the level of somebody.
And to be honest, like, just to even piggyback off that, like, that's where we had the difference of opinion. People felt some type of way because of how I decided not to keep continuing to do the same shit. Like, I feel like I wasted a lot of my time trying to help people when in return I got nothing from it. Like, I gave a lot of people opportunities in the platform to really shine, but once I stopped giving them that platform, there was nothing left for them to do.
Yeah, like a one-sided relationship almost.
Yeah, that's all it was. Like, I'm sitting here giving y'all my all, giving you my best music, and pretty much anything that I did that I felt that was big or, you know, show performance ready, I always, you know, handed that off. And, you know, when the opportunity was presented to them, I didn't get shit for it. But I didn't feel no type of way. Like, if that's what you truly want to do or what you want to act like, then by all means do it. Like, I can't feel no type of way. All I have to do is continue to keep going.
And I mean, that could happen on both a level that comes from people around you, but can also happen on a level from people who are listening to you, in the sense that you know, if you start making one sound, right, and you get big on a certain sound, and say it's like a specific subculture, a specific subgenre, and then you blow up, people are only going to want to hear that one sound from you, and that's why it's so important to diversify what you're making when you're, you know, when you're not as big, when you're still trying to get to that level.
You're right. Like, because I don't want to sound like a traditional Bay Area rapper. That's my fear.
That's interesting that you say that, because I feel like I'm hearing that from more and more artists, and I think the reason I am is because as cool and as dope as Bay Area music is, it's at a point right now, and it has kind of got to that point, especially in hip-hop, where a lot of people are doing the same thing. Yeah. And the problem with that is there's only so much room for that, you know? Like, that can only happen for so long. Yeah. And it's like, I find, I've talked to some people who, you know, they've gotten big enough to the point where they get out of the Bay. And the reason they want to get out of the Bay is not because they don't want to live here or they don't want to be successful here. Like, the reason they get out of the Bay is because they feel like they're shelved and they're sandwiched into one sound.
Exactly. That's actually a big thing to, you know, to consider too. It's just, for one, it's fucking expensive out here. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, this shit just costs so goddamn much. But then on top of that too, just being known as, you know, the rapper or the rap scene is more so like you're putting yourself in a box. And you can't do that. You don't want to do that. So a lot of people leave to try to, you know, find a different type of inspiration or a different sound of music.
Do you ever fear that labeling yourself as a Bay Area artist puts a ceiling on how, like, successful you can become? Or do you not believe in that?
No, I don't believe in that. I just feel like it puts a type of stigma into other people's brain when they view Bay Area artists. You know, like, a lot of people view Bay Area music as just a lot of drugs and killing and pimping. Like, that's not even the case. Like, I don't make that type of music. I'm a player ass nigga, so I like to have fun as well too. So I make all types of music. I can go from talking about bullshit, talking about fucking bitches. I can talk about my mental health. Like, it's hella shit that I can generally talk about, but they're like, oh, you from the Bay Area, everybody raps. You know, that's the type of shit that I get.
That's frustrating.
It's frustrating as fuck.
Yeah. Because people, and the problem is too, 95% of the people who levy that critique aren't even from the Bay Area.
Not at all.
Like, and they don't even understand, like, what actual musical culture out here is, and they'll just say dumb shit like that. Like, say, all Bay Area artists want to talk about is sex and drugs and whatever. But it's like, one, you don't understand what these people have been through to try to rap about something else. It's like, that's their truth.
Yeah, that's all they got. That's all they got.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not like they're rapping about, like, women and sex and drugs because they just want to flex. It's like, no, that's their truth, and it's and that's the reality of it. And then you have these people who are using that against them. It's like, so what do you want them to do? Do you want them to lie? Like, do you want them to act like they didn't go through that?
Yeah, but I know. I mean, even to critique on that, like, I feel like they don't want people to lie, but I feel like they want them to talk about something else.
True.
You know, like, because me personally, when I try to listen to it, I'm like, bro, I heard this shit before. Like, it's all the same sounding shit. So it's like, I don't want to keep hearing the same shit. Like, we've known what you've done already. Like, what more can, like, experience more shit? Like, what else can you talk about?
I feel like that comes, though, once you have an artist that's made music about that in the first place. You know, like, me personally, like, I don't have a problem with people talking about, like, topics that have been covered as long as they put an interesting spin on it.
Yeah, make it different.
Exactly, make it different. The problem comes when they're saying the exact same thing in the exact same way, and it's even a bigger problem when, you know, they aren't speaking about these things because it's their lived truth. They're speaking about it because other people have spoken about it. Exactly. And that's when I think that's where the problem starts to arise. Growing up in the Bay Area, did you have any, like, big Bay Area artists that you idolized?
Shit, really, besides the people that I do music with now, like, that I watched growing up, like watching my older brother and watching the people, like, them being in high school, like watching H. Wood Keefe, I Am Sue, Pilo, like, me being a freshman, and then watching my brother, which is H. Wood Keefe, and then I Am Sue being seniors. And, like, when we would get out of basketball practice, they would take me with them to the studio. So to see that's why I was like, oh, this shit is cool. So, you know, of course, me being a younger brother, I copied everything my brother did.
Sue's your cousin, right? Or your brother?
No, that's a brother.
Oh, okay.
That's not like my blood brother, but it's Pretty much
yeah,
shit.
but it's like
blood
family.
could make us no closer. Yeah, that type of shit.
So growing up around him, did you see like what the hip hop shit was about like before you kind of grew up? Did that how big of an impact did that play on you wanting to become a rapper?
To be honest with you, like I always played with music, like going through high school. But for me, it was me being in LA. I want to say I was around 19, 20 years old. Me and my brother drove to LA just to go bullshit. And Sue called us like, "Oh, y'all in LA? Like, come to the show in like it was Orange County." Mm-hmm. And he literally, I'm thinking I have to pay. He was like, "Nah, I got you." Me, my boy Tay, and my boy Omar. He had us backstage on the stage, just watching him perform that shit, and it really made me really realize, like, fuck, like this is fucking dope. Like people are screaming your lyrics word for word. Like I want that type of shit. Like that shit is dope as fuck to me. For you to really put music out and for people to really like just be so engaged in it was a beautiful thing for me.
I'm sure also it probably kind of showed you that it's possible. You know, having somebody like Sue be so close to you. And, you know, being such a close, like, brother, so just, you know, having somebody who's your family, like, make it like that. It probably showed you that you could do it, too.
Yeah. And the crazy part about it is really, like, when I started to do music, like, they were just like, you know, keep going. Keep doing your thing. Mm-hmm. Like, but within the last few years, like, I really started to, you know, see them fuck with my music a lot. Like, to really want to do music with me, like, on a consistent basis. To where it's just like, damn. Maybe I'm at that level now to where like I can do this shit for real. I just got to keep going.
What do you feel like changed between your music back then and your music now to where you feel like you're at that level?
Life. To be honest, like I went through a lot, bro. Like I went through having a kid like unexpectedly to, you know, dealing with a lot of death around me. Like that shit is real. Like for real. Just, you know, being broke, having money, being able to travel, not travel, like to really experience that type of shit. Because back then I was only like 20, 21. Like I didn't really start doing this music shit to a serious level till I was about like 25, 26. And that changed a lot in my life. So that's really kind of like where I'm at with it now.
Just that lived experience. You need more things to talk about, more things to reflect on.
Exactly. Like my biggest inspiration comes from my family. Mm-hmm. So, you know, going through shit with my family and to really be able to talk about it. You know, it's been times where I record a song in here and I damn near start crying because I'm like, fuck, like, I didn't think I could do shit like that. Like, I always thought I would just be bullshitting on music. But for me to really talk about my life experiences, I feel like I'm more respected.
I think you 100% are for that, and I think that's any artist, you know. It's like, and the thing is too is like as a listener that comes across so easily. Mm-hmm. It's like you can always tell if somebody listens to a lot of music. You can always tell when somebody's being genuine and somebody's not. Yeah, it's not a hard thing to decipher because somebody's being genuine speaks with emotion. They there's just a certain cadence and a way they would say these bars that somebody who, you know, doesn't have that lived experience could never replicate.
No, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a whole different level you unlock when you start talking about lived experiences and you start having more to reflect on and more to talk about.
Yeah. I try to like stay away from a lot of the shit that, you know, made a lot of trauma for me because it's a lot, bro. Like to really have
it's hard to talk about, huh?
It's hard as fuck. Like I'll sit here and try to say certain things and I'm just like, nah, because it really brings back those memories. You know, it's not a good fucking feeling. Mm-hmm. It's not, bro. So it's like sometimes I try to make my music more happy, and so I can try to forget about that shit. That's why I make music with hella people. Is
music kind of a cathartic thing for you, but not in the sense that you're venting about things that happen to you, more of in the sense that you're able to use it as an escape?
It's more of an escape, and to be honest, I feel like this shit is like 60% of the reason why I'm still alive today. Mm-hmm. Like, that's just me being honest.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's real, man. That's real. So when you grew up with music, or I mean, these people around you that were making music, in your household, was there music? Like, were people, or was like Sue and your brothers and stuff, were they getting inspired by music in your household from your parents?
Yeah, so what's hella funny too is because I've seen them literally have beat sessions in our garage or in our living room and shit like that. Now, I would just be there, like, you know, I'm the annoying little brother that was just always around. Like, everybody's fucking with me. So it's like, just to see them and how they really operate was dope as fuck to me because I'm like, damn, like, and I seen all of their progression. Like, I seen when Up came out. Like, I seen that shit. Like, I was around for that. Like, I wasn't in the studio, but I was around. Like I seen all that shit happen, and then see songs like Coliseum come out, and you know, seeing Show Banger and them motherfuckers doing music, like that shit is dope. Cause it's like fuck, like all you niggas literally slept in my living room or in our bed, like bunk bed, all types of shit. So it's like a dope ass experience to really see it.
Yeah, I would think so, especially since you can look at where it is now, and I'd imagine it'd be a real trip to think about you sleeping on a living room floor with those people, and now them selling out stadiums is entirely different. It's a total different lifestyle.
Yeah, bro, and it's like there's no hate in me. Like I'm proud of them. Like
of course,
every time I see them, I'm like I'm shake your hand, give you a hug, whatever. Even the ones that I know aren't genuine today, I still show them love because it's like I don't want you to lose. Like I might call you a bitch just to be funny or some shit like that, but like I'm genuinely proud of the people that's paved the way for shit people like me.
Yeah, that makes sense. When you had how many kids do you have? You one, right?
I have two.
You have two kids, okay. And you said you had them younger. It was unexpected.
My first one was unexpected. My first one was definitely unexpected. Shit, really, this one was unexpected too, if I'm being honest with you. But just me growing up in a household where I had both of my parents. Both of my parents are still married to this day. So, I was raised right. Like, we seen a lot of shit, but my biggest goal was like, regardless if I'm with the mother of my children or not, like, I'm always going to be a dad. That's my number one thing before anything. Like, I'm going to be a dad because having them is the reason why I'm here.
How was that reflected and changed the way you make music?
It gives me more of a purpose.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, that's the reason why I have Down4Us. That was something for me to leave behind for them.
Wow. So, when you had kids, were you in a place where you were looking and searching for purpose? Like, was that something you expected?
No, I was getting drunk.
Yeah.
I was getting drunk as fuck. Like, I was out here bullshitting, like, like legit. Like, I didn't have no purpose. Like, I didn't know what I was doing with myself. I was just young, bro. Just young and running around doing whatever. And shit, having a kid at 22. Feel me? That made me really like, oh fuck, life is real.
Makes you focus.
Yeah, I'm like, I had to work. Like, I had to get a job for real. Like, I had money, but legal money was more important for me. Like, I didn't want to put my freedom on the line, so I could potentially lose time away from the kids. Like, that's one thing I never wanted to do.
Of course, yeah. So when you're at that point, you start Down4Us. What's the process of getting that off the ground like? Like, what was the first step?
The first step was, just trying to solidify. Like, I think for me it was like $500, right? So with the $500, I talked to my boy Mike. We did music together, and he used to work at the place that makes clothing, like legit printing, like a screen printer and all that. And I told him my idea, and he said, well, for 50 shirts it's gonna be this price. And I used to give him the money. He would get it made for me, bring it back to me, and then I would just start selling shirts. So when I first started it off, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna make some shirts. But then it went from me making shirts to me making hats to making beanies to making sweatsuits, windbreakers, like to really doing like a real clothing brand. And it just all started off with $500.
Huh. So in the beginning, the intention was never to turn it into this big brand.
Never in my life would I ever thought that I would be a clothing brand owner, bro.
Wow.
To be honest, like that shit never crossed my mind.
Does your day to day, is it more consumed by Down4Us or your music?
To be honest, neither. Like, cause I said for me I can't be one of those people that's like consumed by the shit. Like, as much as I love it, I can't be consumed by it, because if that takes over my mental, then that's all I'm gonna think about. I can't forget about all the shit that I put into it, like me, my family. Like, I need my own personal me time. Without my me time, like, I can't do shit. Like, I can't function. Like, last year through this whole quarantine and shit, like, all I was thinking about was music. Like, I made fucking 4 or 5 projects, just banging them out in here, bam, 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 bam. That's all I was thinking about. But I wasn't spending time with my kids. You feel me? Like, so I have to set time aside for certain things. Like, for me, like 4 out of 7 of the days is just me reflecting, just getting my mental right. And then I just go hard 24 hours for those next 72. Just thinking about, okay, let's do this, let's do that. Like, let's, try to figure out how to get the ball rolling again. Let's get some more beats. Like, let's schedule some studio time and shit like that.
Of course. I mean, that makes sense. And that's it's a different way to approach it, but I could see the effectiveness, you know? Like, and I think there's all kinds of different processes. Some people will go like a day on, a day off, a day on, a day off, or some people will go 7 on, 7 off, or whatever. But I think what's important is just that you have that process that works for you. That you have those days to get your mental right, and then you have those days to work on your music and stuff.
It's mandatory.
Yeah,
mandatory. Like
100%.
Yeah, can't go without it.
What kind of things do you do to like get that mentality and just make sure you're mentally good? Like, are you active? Do you working out and stuff?
Yeah, definitely working out. I work out. I play a lot of video games. I'm a fucking gamer, so I'm one of those guys. And then shit, really, I just watch movies. Like, I don't ever really just be sitting on my ass like just bullshitting. Like, I got to do something that takes my mind away from everything that I'm going through.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I listened to all your music. One thing that really stuck out to me was a lot of your titles. I wanted to ask about Underdogs Always Win. Do you reflect on that?
Wait a minute. How the fuck you even know about that? Yeah. That's not even like one of them joints like I really promote. That shit came out like 2017.
Hey, I nardwired you,
fuck.
Man. I know everything about you.
Yeah.
I'm about to expose your address, your middle name, everything. It's over. No, but where that project came from, do you feel like an underdog? Like, do you think...
Almost definitely. Yeah. I feel like if you don't feel like an underdog, you ain't gonna have nothing to really grind for. Because if you feel like you that nigga, you that top dog all the time, it's like, shit, what's next?
Oh, yeah.
You know, for me, I'm always like, shit, even if I feel like I'm at the top of my game, I feel like I'm still nowhere. So that's what makes me go harder and try to think of different things. Like, you gotta have that mentality. I promise you.
A lot of people always talk about how, like you go watch interviews with certain artists or hear them talk about it's hard to get motivation when you're up and when you're successful because you don't have that drive. You don't have that hunger to succeed. It's harder to get that when you're not still looking for it.
Because they hit that ceiling.
Exactly.
Like for me, I feel like there's no ceiling for me. Like that's why I continue to keep doing more shit left and right. Like once I feel like there's no ceiling, there's not shit that can stop me. Literally.
Yeah, because I mean, when you get to that point, you have the resources to where you can do whatever you want. Like you can create at that level when you get to that point.
Exactly.
That's funny that you didn't think. You didn't think anybody even know about that project, or
to be honest, yeah and no. But for people that listen to my music now, they don't ever really like. Some people go backwards, but not that far back.
Yeah,
because Underdogs, that's really when we started trying to make a Down4Us music group type shit. You know what I'm saying? So for people that just come in now, they don't see that because you would hear it's a whole different sound. Like you hear hella people on that. Like now you just hear like me with different people left and right, but to hear like them same people consistently, like that shit's crazy.
Was there a Down4Us music group back then?
Oh fuck. Technically, you could say something like that. Yeah.
But it kind of turned into what it is now.
Yeah.
I got you.
Difference of opinion, man.
Yeah,
like, you know,
I got you.
Yeah, that's just all it is, man. Like a lot of people, you know, want you to move how they move and act how they act, and you know, I was never a follower. Like I created this shit with my mind, so I'm gonna continue thinking with my mind. And you know, I lost some people behind it. Like only one I cared about losing. The other motherfuckers I never gave a fuck about to begin with, to be honest with you. But the one that I cared about the most, the person that helped me create this shit, you know, we had a difference of opinion. But you would think like y'all brothers, like you feel me? Y'all would bounce back from certain shit. Y'all would talk about it, you know, and we had conversations about it constantly. And the shit bothered him clearly because he could never really express how he felt. And maybe it was how I approached it, but I never came at him aggressive about the shit. Like I always told him, like, if you want to talk about it, we could talk about it. But he would always say, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. But if it's not a problem, why is there a disconnect? You know what I'm saying? So it went from being brother, we got this shit, we gonna do it 24/7, 50-50 partners, to me being alone again, doing it by myself, how I started off doing it.
That's why it's so important to be open with people you're working with and just be very communicative with the relationship you want to have, both professionally and, you know, when it, as a friendship, and that's a hard balance to toe in any setting, in a musical setting, in a clothing setting, in a business setting. It's very hard to balance a close friendship and a business relationship.
Yeah, I feel like also it's more about putting your pride to the side. Like you gotta be willing to think about the bigger picture, not about right now, about the future of the shit. Like one action can get a reaction that can start a chain reaction of hella shit. You feel me? So it's like, for me, I've always thought about the bigger picture, but he has the wrong people around him in his ear, making him think that he's not wrong, but in reality he's wrong. And you're not going to listen to me because you have whatever emotions or whatever you want to take up with me, but you want to listen to the people that don't want to really see you succeed. They didn't want to change your life. They're just mooching off you pretty much. So it's like, I can't do shit about that. I got to let you just live your life on your own.
Yeah, thinking in the short term is a poison, man. Yeah. Because when you think in the short term, you start to just prioritize the next decision, but sometimes you don't think about what the next decision has bigger implications. Like, if you think about, right, like, for example, let's say tomorrow I wake up and I'm not having a good day and I don't feel good, so I decide to, just sit in bed all day and not do anything.
Yeah.
For that day, I'm only thinking about the fact that it affects that day.
Yeah.
But then me being in a shitty mood that day and doing nothing about it will affect the next day. Mm-hmm. And then that day will affect the next day. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, it affected a week. And before you know it, it affected 2 weeks. Exactly. And that was all because I was thinking in the short term and not thinking about your day-to-day in terms of your long-term long-term goals.
Yeah. And that's big, bro. So for me, I wake up every day like, fuck, how can I fuck this shit up mentally? Like, how can I succeed mentally? How can I get over the hump that I'm at right now? Like, when a lot of people present shit to me that I don't like, I might respond, but in reality, I'm thinking about my next move. Because I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, bet. But then I'm like, okay, now how the fuck can I win this situation right here? And a lot of people don't think about that. Like me, I'm competitive. So my goal is to always be above a motherfucker. But not on like I think I'm better than you shit, but think like I'm mentally going to fucking beat you. And a lot of people don't think like that.
I know you were talking about earlier how you've talked a lot about your mental health and your music. Is that something you've struggled with a lot?
Honestly, bro, like I've struggled with that shit since I was like 16, 17. Mm-hmm. Just dealing with a lot, bro. Like for me, when life really hits me, it shit hits me hard. Because it's really hard when I'm an emotional person at that. So
as am I.
Yeah, so it's like, I really lead with my heart, but I think with my head. So me always thinking with my head, it keeps me out of trouble. Because I could do a lot of shit, like if I wanted to, thinking emotionally. But I wasn't raised that way. My dad told me to be a thinking man, not an emotional man. So there's times where I feel like I'm at my lowest to where I'm like, fuck it. Nobody would give a fuck if I'm here tomorrow. That's how I think. Or it's been times where I've had times where I felt borderline suicidal. Like, and I had to make music to dig myself out of that shit. Like, because I really have shit that's like fucking with me mentally that I try to get over, but I had to talk about it. Like, I'm currently trying to seek a therapist, but I talk to people about my current situations right now until I find one that actually can help me.
And that's real. I think when you said you got to get that out in your music, that's just one example of how powerful this shit is, man.
Yeah.
And how not only can it truly help you get in a better headspace, it can truly save somebody's life, like you were saying, but it can also, you sharing your experiences and talking about the way that you feel can save somebody else's life.
Exactly.
And you could never know. I mean, there's so many, you could talk to so many people who are just gigantic fans of music where they would say the same thing: music saved my life.
Yeah. And for me, like, and that's funny because when I ever felt at my lowest, I would listen to fucking Mac Miller. Like on your shirt, literally. Yeah, like I would listen to Mac Miller.
So would I.
would listen to shit like that, bro. So to have that type of person that's no longer here, he was talking about his own mental health. You feel me? So it's like, fuck, like there's people that have this platform that can talk about this shit that I can relate to. Even him being a white person, you feel me? Like, I'm a black man. Like, I related to this white guy because of his fucking mental.
And there's something so beautiful about that. Yeah. It's like you guys, for example, like you and Mac Miller, probably raised in ridiculously different backgrounds. But there's just something so powerful about music that him being there's a white kid raised in Pittsburgh and you being a black man raised in Oakland, you guys can relate just through music and through that one common link you have that is the struggles with mental health. And that's what music can do for people. It can bring people together in that way that I don't think very many other things can.
Yeah, you're right. Like, and I talked to my two closest friends, one of my closest friends, Aaron, and then my boy Tay. But whenever I need somebody to like talk to, like I talk to them because it's a neutral party. So it's like they always hear me out, or they got to check me when I'm wrong. There's a lot of times where motherfuckers check me when I'm wrong because sometimes I feel like I'm not doing nothing wrong. But it took for me to, have a close conversation with my boy Aaron for him to let me know that I'm wrong about how I view a lot of things, to me changing my mentality to being more genuine, to showing more love. Because that's the most genuine person I've ever met in my life. So that's a big fucking, I owe him a lot. That's why I do a lot for this guy. Yeah.
I think the important thing is that you're open to change. You know, like when somebody, like how you were saying, Aaron brought up these things to you. The important thing is that you're receptive and that you listen and that you can take those criticisms and go in stride with them and actually improve and become a better person through them. Mm-hmm. And that's like you were talking about earlier. You got to put your pride aside sometimes.
Exactly.
You got to be okay with self-analysis and looking at yourself and saying, you know, I did this wrong, and this is what I can do better in the future. I'm somebody who's I've been a victim of that personally. Like I've come to a place in my life at certain points where I was refusing to realize things that I probably knew in the back of my head, and it's a tough place to be in. You have to learn to self-critique yourself because there's a lot of things that you probably know but you don't want to admit to yourself.
Exactly. And then honestly, bro, like for me and you, it's easy for us to sit here and know, like, okay, we're wrong, we fucked up. But there's a lot of people that can be around us right now where they do some faulty shit that they don't think is wrong until like somebody calls them out. But then it's like you have to be willing to accept that shit. You have to be willing to be checked. Like, because if you're not and you always think that you're right, like that's always going to be an issue. And you're never going to have people around you like that.
For sure.
Unless you want fucking yes men around you.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? So many people have only yes men around them. Yeah. They might not realize it, but I've seen it with friends that I have in this industry that have started to get bigger. Yeah. Like the one or two people I'm thinking of particularly, they've started to get bigger and they've started to have more of a name and have labels reach out and management, etc. But it's as that's come, so many people who would talk shit about them or do this to them when they were smaller, it's like now they're just on them. And it's so difficult to watch as an outsider. It's because like you just want to tell these people, it's like, dude, like this guy talks shit about you and said hella you just talk about you when you weren't up, but now that you're successful, he wants to be around you. And those people are snakes. Those are the worst kinds of people, man. Like that makes my skin crawl.
Exactly. In the fucked up part too, you have to be able to play the game.
Oh yeah.
It's I promise you, this motherfucker streets and told me this shit. Like you have to be able to play the game. Like this shit is all like, it's just all a big ass game. You need to know how to fake this shit too. Like a lot of people fake it till they make it. Like I didn't get as much game on music until I came in this fucking studio. That's why like I know how to work around certain people. Like you got to know how to react. Like you can do songs with these big name artists and these motherfuckers to tell you how good the song is, how much they fuck with it, but when it's time for the song to drop to do some promo, you're never gonna post your shit. No, never gonna do it. So you have to know how to react to that shit. Like for me, I look at it like this, like, okay, you're not gonna post my shit, but just know that I'm going to get streams off you. It's all of a fucking business plan. Like you have to mentally train yourself like this is all a business move. Regardless if you post it or not, just by you having, let's say 200,000, 500,000 listeners a day or a year or whatever the fucking case may be, like just by me having your name on my song, I'm going to get streams off that shit. So thank you either way. Even if you don't promote my shit, thank you.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and the tough part about that too is like balancing. I mean, it just goes back to what we were talking about earlier, just balancing that work and friendship relationship. Like, do you find that it's hard for you to make music with people you aren't close with, or are you somebody who can make music with pretty much anybody?
Honestly, I feel like I can make music with anybody, but I'm more strategic with it because I take pride in the shit that I put out. Like I don't want to just make hella just music and then just start dropping hella shit. Like that's not how I work. So for me, I want to make sure that if I make music, I don't want no skips. So I'm very selective on who I work with. Like I'll get on their song, but I won't send them nothing to get on personally.
Do you, when you're reaching out to find features, are you selective on who you reach out to?
Definitely.
Or is it people that are usually in your circle to begin with? Or do you ever hear a dope artist and you reach out, you're like, damn, I'd love for you to get on my song. Like, I really like your music.
Yeah. I reached out to a lot of people that I actually listened to growing up. And they actually do music with me now, which is like a humbling thing because it's like, fuck, these niggas was gods to me. Like for real, like music gods. And for me to really just have songs with them now, it's actually a big thing. That means I'm doing something right because clearly they like the music that I'm putting out. So I don't have a problem reaching out to people saying like, hey, let's get one out, you know, shit like that. Like I'm genuine. Like for me, there's really like no extra motive or nothing like that. Like I just want to make good music.
That's real, man. And that's something that's always so funny. It's like as you get to your goals and as you start to have access to these people who maybe you were listening growing up, or people that you could one day you dreamed of being able to collaborate with them, you start to realize that everybody's just a person. You know, when you like I've been in that situation too. Like I've had the chance to meet people who 2 years ago I would have looked up to, and you have this idolized like persona of them in your head, but then you meet them and they're just people. Yeah, everybody's just a person, and it's a weird mental barrier to overcome. But the sooner you can, it gives you the ability to talk to people a lot easier, and just kind of network and be friends with people, opposed to just be all nervous or weird when you meet them. It's because they're just people. Everybody's just a person. And we just think of these people as like gods. So you idolize them in your head because they're bigger than you, or they have more streams than you, or whatever. Just some dumb, useless, pointless metric. Yeah, definitely. That means nothing. But in reality, they're just the same as you. True. And they probably came from a place where you came as well, like a similar place. So since you released a lot of music in 2021, You said most of that music came out of quarantine, right? Was that a period where you were just locked away, putting in tons of hours of music?
Man, I was at home just chilling. Like we couldn't work, so I think I had like hella producers that was hitting me like just like, oh, let's do music. You feel me? So I was doing a lot of beats. I was sending it out to people. I was in here. I feel like I was in the studio probably once every other month or twice a month, because the way I do my process, I come in, I do my hooks, I send it out, I come back with the features, then we record it, and then we mix that shit. So it was so constant. It was just going. And me doing that, I just see my streams just rise. So I started off at a 3 for 3, and last year I ended with a 7 for 7. So I made 4 projects in 1 year. 7 for 7 was by far my best project, just due to, we were getting better. We were getting more features. We were doing more beats, and I sent it out to the right people. That shit ended up getting me like fucking 40,000 streams. And I never seen them type of numbers before. So it was like, okay, it's showing that we putting in these hours, and we're being humble and, genuine at the same time. But, after that 40,000, I'm like, man, fuck this shit. Let me pop my shit a little bit. You feel me? Like, I know what I'm some good going about it. So that was really how we came about that shit. Like, I invested a lot of time in here, and it came out good.
What was the idea behind naming all your projects 3 for 3, 4 for 4, 4 for 5, whatever, etc.? Was it just kind of like the idea of like, I'm hitting on 3 out of these 3 songs, I'm hitting on 4 out of these 4 songs?
I was just like, I'm gonna give you 3 songs, and then I was like, I'm gonna give you 4, I'm gonna give you 5, I'm gonna give you 6, I'm gonna give you 7, and then we fucking Streets and B, yeah, they ended up making jokes out of this shit, like this nigga gonna do like a 20 for 20. I'm like, shit, fuck it, we gonna, yeah. So I'm just like, fuck it, let's do it. Like, I'm gonna stop at like 9 though. I'm not gonna keep doing that shit. That takes a lot, bro. That's a lot.
Of course. I mean, at that point, it makes more sense to just put 20 songs on one project.
Yeah. Ain't no point in doing all that.
You said you were making beats back then?
No, I never. Oh,
you're just sending beats.
Yeah, okay. I was just getting beats. Yeah. Okay. That's something I do want to learn though, but I just don't have the patience for that shit.
What do you mean?
Like, just me to sit here and just try to make a beat. Like, I can tell you how I want it to sound, but I just couldn't do that.
It's very meticulous.
Yeah, bro.
A lot of detail.
Shit is tedious. Yeah. It's tedious as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
So I appreciate the producers. That's why they get 50%.
Hell yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of rappers out there who don't like to give their producers due. They like to act like they're higher, or they're better than producers or whatever, but it's really 50%. 50% always.
Like, that's a problem too. Like, with people that can't give the credit to their producers, you just see how greedy they really are.
For sure.
And I don't like that shit. Like, for me, I'm always quick to say, oh, mixed and mastered by, produced by, because it's like, without y'all, I wouldn't have that shit. That's why I'm like, it's always genuine with me. Like, that's really the shit that I live by. Like, it's genuine. Like, regardless if motherfuckers make me mad or whatever, we might have a different opinion, regardless of anybody I work with, like, I've never not once gave them their credit. Ever.
It's 50-50 always.
Always. That's how it's got to be.
Yeah.
If nobody's going to really sit there and say, like, oh, it's a partnership, like, stop fucking with them.
Do you ever have trouble with motivation? Like, how do you keep motivated to make music?
To be honest, I stay motivated by just seeing, like, the people listening to it. You feel me? Like, for me, I get more motivated by what I see, or the people that's around me. Like, I have genuine people around me, and I'm trying to, start something different. You know, I'm really trying to show people like we can really fuck with each other on a genuine level and not be on some competitive shit, or I'm like, it's you against me. Like, it's not. That's where we fucking fall victim to in the area that we live in. It's always a competition. Like, it's so much fucking money out here that we all can make, but it's like we can't get that money because people want to be the best. Like, I don't give a fuck about trying to be better than you. I want to be the best version I can of myself. You feel me? So that's why, like, last week people dropped a song. Like, I'm like, because, you know, people would just post like yo posts on their story. Like, me, you know, fuck that. I'm gonna give you a stream. I'm gonna actually post me listening to your shit. Like, that's the trend we need to set now. Like, because we can make money off our streams if we all just listen to each other music. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't really listen to each other music. We just post that shit to cover our ass. You know, like, I can sit here and say right now, I listen to niggas music. Like, I can tell you what part I like, what part I don't like. Like, that's for me. Like, that's the trend I want to set, that everybody can genuinely fuck with each other. And it's like not lie to one another. Like, for me, I'm not going to keep putting fire emojis under your weak ass music if the shit's not good.
I was just going to say that. I hate that
I'm not doing that shit no more, bro. I promise you. I'm just going to sit there and say, get your money. If I tell you get your money, that just mean your shit weak to me.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to hate on you. I'm not going to say it's trash. You just got to, maybe you need to switch your shit up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, get your money. Because at the end of the day, what you
I was just going to say that. I hate that. I hate the fake. It's literally like, I talk about this all the time, the Instagram thing where there's people who just go down their feed and just comment little fire emojis on other people's shit. It's
like, you're not fucking listening to my shit. You just seen my shit 10 seconds ago. Yeah. Come on, bro. Like, it's time to be real with one another. Like, I'm done trying to, like, fake that shit, bro. Like, I can't fake it no more. Like, I'm getting older. You feel me? Like, it's time for us to really just lock in and do this shit legit.
How old are you?
I am 28.
Oh, you're not getting older. Come on, you're a young man.
I mean, I'm not getting older, but I'm getting older. You feel me? Like, that's what it is.
So what have you been working on recently musically?
Honestly, bro, like, I got the 8 for 8 done. It's done. I've been going through a lot mentally, bro, with this COVID shit, you know.
It's a lot.
Yeah, like, I haven't really, like, it's done. I can put it out today and just be like, but my heart ain't in it right now. So I'm like, I'm trying to dig myself out of that hole that I've been in to really want to put the song out again, or put the whole project out again.
Because you want to be in the proper state of mind when you're putting it out.
I want to put the money behind the promotion. I want to have my videos done. I want to do all that. Like, but right now I'm just not in the mood to really try to do it, because if I do it, it's not going to be to the best of my ability.
Yeah, that's respect, man. Because a lot of people will put out stuff and then they'll half-ass the promotion. Yeah, like, you gotta if you're gonna put all that work into the project, you gotta be 100% when you put it out. Yeah,
we gotta do promotion. We gotta have videos ready. We gotta really just do this shit. Like, I don't want to just have music out with nothing behind it. Like, because as much as people want to hear you, they want to see you too.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah, I mean, that's one. It's funny that one of the biggest parts about music is making sure people see you. You wouldn't think that, right? It's a little ironic. You think you listen to somebody and you forget about what they look like. You forget about the visual. But in today's age, in reality, if you want to have a gigantic song, you have to have a gigantic visual to match it.
Yeah, you got to. It's mandatory. Yeah. It don't even, like, and for me, I try to, even for my visuals, I don't try to have like 25, 30 niggas in the video. Like, for me, I like to tell stories. So there's a lot of videos where I actually, like, act out certain shit. So I take pride in that. Like, because me watching a lot of movies, I get creative. Or even with my videos, like, if I'll have the people that's in the song or in the video. Like,
you're a big movie fan?
Hell yeah.
What kind of stuff you watch?
I watch all type of shit, bro. Like, I watch, like, drama, comedy, all that shit. Like, legit.
That's cool. Yeah. Has that inspired a lot of your music?
To be honest...
Or is it like an outside thing?
That's more like an outside thing. Yeah, I wouldn't say like real movies, like besides like fucking 8 Mile or some shit. Like, yeah, would inspire me music wise.
8 Mile got me into hip hop.
For real?
Yeah.
Damn, that's it.
Yeah.
8 Mile.
8 Mile.
Just no other.
Well, that was like. Well, it was 8 Mile got me to listen to Eminem, and then like because I saw that. So
you
movie.
Got excited watching the white guy beat black people in music.
You got it.
I got it.
No, it was like I saw 8 Mile, and then I listened to Eminem for the first time.
Yeah.
And then because Eminem, I started listening to all different kinds of hip hop. But so I guess you could say the movie got me into it. But I'm not even a big movie guy like that.
Would you consider him top 10?
Eminem?
Yeah.
He's not in my personal like if you were like list your 10 favorite rappers, I don't think he's there. I think he's top 10 though. I think he's close.
Okay.
What do you think?
I would give him top 10, but I wouldn't give him. I would give him like anywhere between 5 to 10.
5 to 10. Yeah. I think I feel the same. Yeah. I think off the top of my head I can list like 4 people I put before Eminem.
Oh yeah, sure.
easily. Because to me it's like Biggie's years ahead of M. To me it's like I think I put 50 ahead of M.
50 Cent?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I think I put Kanye ahead of M.
I would do Kanye.
I think I put Kanye ahead of M.
I would do Kanye.
I think I put, like, me personally, like, this isn't a pick. A lot of people would agree with that thing, but I probably put Madlib above Eminem. Just as, because I think of them in a similar vein. Yeah. I think Madlib has the edge in terms of, like, his flows and his lyricism. I think, well, just, like, bar for bar speed, obviously Eminem's the GOAT. Like, nobody's even close. I think the only person that comes to my mind is even close is like Twista.
Shit, that's okay. So who would you have number 1?
Number 1, I think about this all the time. To me, it's like if you were like, who's your favorite rapper of all time? I say Kanye. But if you're like, who's the greatest rapper of all time? I think I'd go Biggie, man.
Really?
Probably based on influence, or I'd go somebody way earlier. Like I'd probably have some like off-brand pick like Grandmaster Flash or something. Like somebody who I think was like years ahead of it, because I like to view genres as more like a historical lens. So I look at somebody like Kool Herc or like Grandmaster Flash or like Grandmaster Flowers, like guys like that are like part of the reason I'm interested in hip hop.
Okay.
How about you? Who's like your number 1?
I will go. It'll be a tie between Lil Wayne and Andre 3000.
Wow. See, I would put. See, me, I'm not even like a huge fan of Wayne, but I just have so much respect for him and what he's done. And Andre, I think he's in a similar vein in the fact that I love Outkast, right? I listened to Outkast way before I'd ever listened to Lil Wayne. But for me, it's like I think Andre is on such like a different level lyrically.
Exactly.
Like in terms of his flows and his rhyme schemes, such a unique rapper too. Yeah. And I think obviously like what him and Big Boy did was they definitely changed the ethos of hip hop, which is something you have to respect. I feel like
because they came, let's say like 96.
96, when was 8 Aliens?
That was like 96.
Yeah. And
so we would say like they changed the game, but I feel like they learned a lot of shit from Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
Especially on a yeah. No, I think you're right, but what's cool about Outkast is they brought that more to a West Coast audience, whereas Tribe Called Quest was totally New York.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And to me, Q-Tip is like up there too. Like,
yeah, he's in my top 10.
Just as like not even as like as both an MC and entertainer. Like to me, Q-Tip is one of the most entertaining rappers of all time, just because of the way he presented himself, and just Tribe was so like careful with their image. It was such like they were so ahead of their time, and I just love that old East Coast sound, man. Like and there's groups like that I love now. I'm a big Pro Era fan. I'm a big Joey Badass fan, and it's like you never have guys like that without Tribe or Wu-Tang.
Yeah. So, and the crazy thing about that was like I'm not even really a big ass Wu-Tang fan like that. Like there's a few songs I like, but I'm just like You know, like my cousin is like one of them fucking diehard Wu-Tang fans. Yeah. And I'd be like, nigga, you from Sacramento. How the fuck is you over here rocking with Wu-Tang so hard? Nigga, like, we got so much music in California, like, but he just swears up and down like Tupac ain't from the West Coast, he from Baltimore, all that shit. And I'm like, okay, you're gonna be technical, like that's fine. Yeah. But I'm just like, it's so much more music other than fucking Wu-Tang.
I agree with you, but I also feel like to me, RZA never gets the respect he deserves. When people are talking about top 15, top 20s, I think he's up there.
And that motherfucker made the group.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Like, and he made the beat, so it's like, goddamn, like, what more do you need to do? Like, I don't know.
It's almost in the same sense, like, how do you have NWA without Dre? You know, it's like...
shit, how do you have NWA without Ice Cube, too, though?
That's true, for sure.
He wrote all these shit.
Well, they were like... Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were like missing pieces to a puzzle. Yeah. It's like you literally could not have you couldn't have had NWA without all of them. No, you couldn't have Wu-Tang without all of them. In the same way you couldn't have Tribe without all of them. Yeah. That's one thing that I think is lost a lot in modern hip hop. It's the small like collective group. There aren't very many like huge groups outside of like the Migos, but I think it's more like collectives now.
Yeah. I feel like even with them, they changed the game a lot too. They made music a lot more lazy. But I mean, agree. Shit, it's something to dance to, something to grab a bitch to.
That's true.
It's whatever.
100%. Walking into 2022, what are like your biggest goals musically?
To be honest, bro, like my biggest goal musically is just, you know, to always elevate. I don't really ever just set myself hella goals for music. I just more so just like, you know, I just want to keep the passion for it, you know, because there's times where I'm like, you know what, I can stop doing this shit today and I feel like I'll be all right. I feel like for 2022, my biggest goal is to really give it everything I have, like financial, like, and also my mind and my spirit, to really just give it everything I have to where I could just feel complete. If something didn't work, I'm comfortable with that. Like there's times where I'm like, I can make music because it's easy. I can make hooks because it's easy. But for me to really just like give it my all, like I don't think I've really ever done that, because the shits came so easy to me to really just put music together. Like to really think of shit off the top of my head. Like, nigga, we sat in this motherfucking studio 2 weekends in a row just and made hella fucking music and just like feeding off one another. Like I'm like, this shit is too easy. Like maybe it's just I'm getting better or I'm just around the right people, but it's just like, fuck, like nigga, like this shit is hella easy to me. Like I want to fucking challenge now. So I'm gonna challenge myself to make more different music and step out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, word, man. And I mean, I think that'll produce a lot of growth. I really do. You always want to be pushing. You always want to be challenging yourself and doing what's difficult. You never want to do what's easy.
Exactly.
All right, tell them where to find Down4Us. Tell them where to find your music.
Yeah, you can find Down4Us over at down4us.com. You can find my music on Apple Music, Spotify, pretty much anywhere that does shit digital. You can find me on Pornhub in the next 6 months because I'm about to start my little, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, OnlyFans, we about to get all this money any way possible. So if I got to, you know what I'm saying, put the schlong out there, then I will.
That's how it is.
I'm fucking with you.
All right, I appreciate you, man.
It's all good, bro. Thank you.